The poet first introduces the speaker's sense of the vitality and beauty of the stag and doe, then shows death disrupting this, and finally explores the fragility of life. Overall, the final rhyme between doe and snow, by contrasting these symbols of life and death, emphasizes that the deeper meaning of the poem is the conflict between them. Questioning the white sky shows the speaker wondering why there is no divine justice or pity, because the sky represents heaven. The colour white, as famously expressed in Moby Dick, by its indefiniteness shadows forth the heartless voids and immensities of the universe, and thus stabs us from behind with the thought of annihilation. This ominous mood is developed by the setting at the beginning of evening, a threshold symbolising the onset of death. A rare moment of regular metre in the poem, the trochaic phrase "standing in the apple orchard" isolates and juxtaposes this moment of order and tranquility against its coming ruin. This effect is exaggerated by the run-on line preceding it, arresting the image to show how it lingers in the memory of the speaker. The symbolism of the stag being brought to his antlers develops the conflict between life and death. Because of the resemblance of its antlers to branches, the stag's meaning in mythology is linked to the tree of life. Since its antlers renew, it is also linked to regeneration and growth. In the Milky Way, stags are therefore on both sides of the bridge of death and resurrection. Its blood is thus scalding in two senses, literally hot and therefore melting the snow, but also metaphorically scathing in the other sense of scalding, and therefore a withering denunciation of death. The speaker's sense of how strange death is develops this by suggesting how death disrupts life, and the one-line stanza exaggerates this. Strange originally means not naturally belonging in a place, and this meaning persists in our use of the word stranger. This movingly echoes the allusion to the Garden of Eden in the initial image of the apple orchard, evoking a time before death entered the world. The alliteration and assonance of the heavy hemlocks at the end shows that even these evergreen trees acknowledge the weight of death that the snow symbolizes. Another ancient symbol of life, just like the stag's antlers, even they don't keep their needles or live forever. The metaphor of a feather of snow captures how death conquers them both eventually, with a light touch. Repeated 5 times in the poem, and also occurring in the title, snow creates a mood of coldness, not just literally, but spiritually. Death is indifferent and merciless, cold-hearted. By making it the only end rhyme sound in the whole poem, the poet makes it seem to pervade everything. This echoes the repetition of bowed twice in the first stanza that suggests how nature is bent downward to death, and perhaps even bent forward to it as well, as if unable to escape it. Overall, however, I think that for the speaker the stag and doe convey a deeper meaning of resisting death. Despite being named in the title, the stag might not be the poem's central symbol. Significantly, it concludes with the doe. Stags are much rarer than does because yearling males suffer twice the mortality rate of females. They also continue to die off faster through adulthood, mostly due to competition for females. Males exhausted by rutting enter the winter weaker than do the does burdened by pregnancy and nursing. Relative to the does, the stags are expendable because the does give birth to new life. At the end, then, the final rhyme doe snow is counter-semantic because whereas the snow represents death, the life that looks out from the eyes of the doe is the new life she potentially bears within her.